Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody today. We will give some people a chance to get on to the Zoom meeting. In the meantime, how is everybody enjoying this weather? Isn't it great? I know some people don't like cold weather. I love cold weather. I hope you kids have had a chance to go outside and look at the snowflakes, because they were pretty much frozen in their shapes due to the dry snow. So you may be able to go out to your porch or to your car, the hood of the car, and look at those very beautiful shapes. So, okay, it looks like everybody's here who's going to be here, and we've called the roll. This is a required Zoom meeting. We only have one a week. So it's great to get together and to go over our, to review and to go over our projects and to share ideas. I think everyone's going to enjoy our next project. Okay, I did send an email ahead of time listing the supplies that you're going to need today. You won't need them during the Zoom meeting, but I highly recommend that you complete part one of the project today, because if you cram it all into one, it's basically not going to work. Everything has to be very dry before you go on to part two. The supplies we need today is you're going to need two pieces of heavyweight tag board, one 9x12 and one 9x4.5. Also have you can have a number 2 pencil or your sketching pencils, your oil pastels, your paint brushes, and this is a small project, you won't need your large ones. Have your paint brushes, and of course protect your surfaces and protect your clothing with a smock or a shirt. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, well, actually, parents, if you are not able to get these materials, send me an email and we will try to come up with some substitutions, and we can also perhaps find a way to get you some of the materials. I'm not sure with the way traveling is now, if we could do that, but just email me and we'll work something out. But if the student does use different materials, like they use construction paper instead of the tag board, and you haven't emailed me saying that you don't have the supplies, then we'll have to deduct the grade. So make sure you let me know ahead of time if you're having trouble compiling the materials. Okay, let's do a little review. Previously we did go over the elements of art, and before I pull up my slideshow, raise your hand if you can tell me one element of art. Okay, line, yes. Line is a very basic element of art. And the way we define line is a path between 2 points. And later when you take geometry, and when you're in high school and you take geometry, it's important to know this point is also important to know for your unit test this year, is that it's a path between 2 lines that do not connect. So that differentiates a line from another element of art. Can somebody tell me another element of art? Just raise your hand, and yes. Shape. Shape is another element of art. And we define shape a 2-dimensional area that is closed by a line. So if a circle, a line is used to draw a circle shape, but it doesn't close that circle, there's a gap, it's not a circle, it's not a shape. When that gap is closed and it's an enclosed circle, then that makes it a shape. Very important to differentiate that. Okay, one more. Can one more volunteer raise your hand and tell me one more element of art? Space. Yes, space. Space is one that we're going to explore today. No pun intended. The way we define space in art is the way things are arranged. And I guess you could say it's the way you use the elements, the way we arrange the lines and shapes today is how we're going to use space. Okay, so let's bring up our slideshow. Just one second here. Okay. So here's our elements of art as we went over today. Gosh, can you see that? Line, shape, space, and of course color. We're using color in our project today. Color basically describes the object and how it reflects light and how it absorbs light. And texture, we'll explore that in part 3 of our project. And there's form and value. And if you would like to review the elements of art, please view the YouTube video that I am posting today. We reviewed it the other day, but I'm going to go ahead and post it, and you will need to know the definitions. And it's a great brief, concise video going over the basic definitions of our elements. Okay, so just a quick glance at an example of what we're going to be doing. I'm not going to show it to you very long because I want you to have your own images and your own ideas of how you want to do your project, but just very quickly. A 3-dimensional winter mug, that's going to be our project. And you can probably, just by looking at it, see how we're going to use our different elements of art. All right, so basically, as we discussed in our earlier lessons, the way you arrange your shapes and your lines and use the space can achieve what we call perspective. So basically we have 2 of the same things here. We have a ball sitting on a surface. Which one looks more realistic, number 1 or number 2? Right, number 2 looks more realistic. Merely by moving the ball closer and placing the ball through the horizontal line, or the horizontal line through the ball, however you want to see it, does achieve perspective. And the perspective here, I think, is that we have more depth and the distance is different. It looks closer to us. It looks realistic. Okay. So here's 3 more examples of perspective. This is similar to what we just looked at. Here is a ball that is bigger than this ball or the same. This one is the same size as this one, but why does it look bigger? Because of perspective. Because merely placing the horizontal line in a different position gives the perspective of this ball being closer. So what do we have here? We have a smaller ball, and it merely gives the perspective of distance or size, however you want to depict it. Now, these 3 methods of perspective you see in nature every day. And one of my favorite ways to depict depth and size is with this type of picture. This is merely what we've been looking at. We've been looking at a horizontal plane or a horizontal line with a circle. And as you can see, here's many different stages of the sunset. Here's, you know, various distances. And we will be using this similar concept, even though it's winter in our project today. Perhaps we should use this as an example. Here we go. This is a snowman, and the snowman appears to be closer and has a background, a foreground, and a middle ground. So this creates perspective, and we're using line and we're using shape and the placements to achieve perspective. So there's the directions, but let's go on to my rough example. And I wanted to make a rough example because I want everybody's ideas to be original and to be varied. So I just did some generic rectangles. And what we're going to start with right here is we're going to draw a horizontal line across your 9x12 tag board. And then I would like you to do that with your pencil or your sketch pencils, and then trace over it with your oil pastels. Now, by merely drawing this line, we've created a tabletop and a background for our project. And for the background, I would like you to utilize colors and shapes. I would recommend doing a background color and then superimposing your shapes. You can do all kinds of designs and patterns, and use, you know, the variety that we will see, especially since everybody is doing their projects at home and they're not looking over the shoulder of their neighbor to see what they're doing. They're going to be very unique, and I'm very excited to see the ideas people come up with. So that's above the line. So please trace, or please sketch first, and trace and fill in with your pastels. Okay, below the line, the space below the line represents the tabletop in our project. You can do the same as you did above, but it must be different because we really need to differentiate between the background and the tabletop. And this is not required, but I would recommend using a series of lines, diagonal, horizontal, vertical. Maybe you can do crisscross. But just keep in mind that this is the tabletop, and you will want the shapes or whatever patterns or designs that you use there to, you know, look appropriate. Okay, so whoops, let's go ahead and go back to our directions. I will post this slideshow. So these are very basic directions right here of part 1 of your project. And I've just gone over the top part. Okay, so I want you to next, after you finish your 9x12, which includes the background and the tabletop, take your 9x4.5 inch tag board. And this piece, if you hold it horizontally, this is going to be the body of the mug in your project. And as far as the parameters I'm requiring here, I just need you to, the media that you're using is the requirement. Use your pencil, use your oil pastels, but this is freestyle. Whatever design, whatever picture, whatever word, whatever, anything you want to put on your mug, this is your mug. Just remember whatever you want the focal point to be, or the main object of your mug, center it on your paper. So when we finish the project, it's displayed properly as the, you know, the object on your mug. Okay, so are there any questions at this point? Okay. As far as your mug, you want to know if you could draw a character on your mug. Absolutely. I've seen some really cute ones where they've used, I'll use an old character, Pokemon, where they use Pokemon as the main object of their mug, and coordinated the colors on their background and on their tabletop. The parameters are basically you're using your elements of art, as I've discussed, and if you would like to review, of course, go over that video. You can also see my slideshow if you would like to review the directions. Okay, any more questions? Okay, if you have any questions, you can email me. Also, let's see. I'm posting the YouTube video, I'm posting my slideshow and directions. Even though I am posting these, your attendance to the meeting today will still count toward your grade. Also, don't forget when you complete your project, part 1 of your project, go ahead and hang up your project to dry where it won't be disturbed. I know in my house, often these projects get stepped on by the cats, or they get blown onto the floor by a fan. Make sure that they're in a safe place where they can dry. And don't forget our cleanup rules. And can somebody tell me the first cleanup rule for our paintbrushes? Right. As soon as you are finished, rinse them out with warm water and soap. And then how do we store them? Do we just stick them in a cup, or do we lay them? How do we store them? Correct. We store them brush side up in a can or a container of some kind. And that will enable it to dry properly and to not be bent or distorted. So you can just pick it up and use it tomorrow. And don't forget to clean up your area and put your supplies away out of reach from your little siblings. I'm really excited about this project. I cannot wait to see the final results. I will be assessing your project after we complete part 3. And the way I'll be doing that is you'll send me a picture of yourself holding the completed project. So that's not what we're going to do today for part 1. But remember to do the parts on the days it was assigned, because if you don't, then you will have a big mess if you try to cram it all into one day. It's been great seeing all of your faces today. I really miss seeing your faces at school, and I hope everybody is doing well. And good luck on your projects, and we'll see you next time.